No problem. I got that first part recorded and saved, so it's all good. Anything, we can always chop it up and just be like part two.
Good. Good. Yeah. So I gotta keep my screen open so the battery keep charging.
Got you. Wait, it died while it was charging?
Nah, it didn't die while it was charging. It like I'm hooked up to the computer right now. And it's charging the computer.
Got you. You don't have it charging directly to the outlet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it
Got
just died on me.
Yeah.
I'm here. Oh, yeah.
Cool. I felt my phone was getting a little hot, and I was like, I don't know if that's the sun or maybe if it's the sun or if it was the phone itself just from running the Zoom. But yeah, you can see me. I'm just gonna put this up here to keep it shaded. But I forgot what I was saying, but I think we were talking about just
you was mentioning let me see the last thing I heard. The last thing I heard was talking about it was like the question was the negative side of things from Brooklyn, you know. So
gotcha. Right. But I mean, I guess even when I ask that, I guess sometimes it's too easy to focus on the negative, because sometimes when you don't focus on the negative, I think people think you're neglecting it. But then if you focus too much on the negative, it can, like, the negative isn't necessarily something you can always be taken on. Like, sometimes you gotta, like, get off of that and get on the positive stuff. And I got you. Yeah. But I'm glad you pointed out the good things about it, because I think a lot of times, like I asked the questions, a lot of people go to the negative end. Because I remember one time, I've got family in Chicago, and people immediately at work that have probably never been to Chicago, they're like, oh, you can't go there, they're just shooting people. And I'm like, oh, really? They're just out there shooting people? They're like, oh, yeah, that's what it said in the news. I was like, oh, okay, so people walking around downtown, they're just getting shot up because gang violence is real. People are dying, but it's not like you walk down the street, you get off the plane, somebody's just shooting you. Like, I think things that happen are valid, but I want to say too much attention gets placed on, like, this terrible thing happened. And then sometimes it's like, okay, if you have great things happen, people are like, well, but the terrible thing, it's like, well, unless you're going to be able to do something about it, like, leave it alone. And like this, I keep seeing over and over whenever you're driving on the highway, and there'll be an accident or something, and like emergency vehicles are already on the scene, and people do this thing called like rubbernecking, where they call them looky-loos. A friend of mine said from work, one of my coworkers, and it's like everybody wants to know what's going on, but it's like you turning your head to see what's going on is going to cause another accident.
yeah.
And it's better that you're not being insensitive. You're just trying not to become a bigger part of the problem by just saying, oh, like, look. It's like, okay, you're looking, but you're slowing down, and somebody that's not paying attention runs right into you. Or they're paying attention, but all of a sudden you went from going 70 to 60 miles to 40 miles to 0 just because you slammed on your brakes to see what's going on over there. It's like none of your business.
Right. Keep your eyes on your own test paper.
Right. But I guess I hope that stuck kind of in context, because it's, if you want to get deep on stuff, you can. And I think sometimes that can be a detriment, because I think you were on that time. Somebody said on the line once, it's like a lot of times we as men look to be affirmed just because you don't grow up with like everybody telling you good job. Life is hard, and you have to kind of just go through struggle. But at the same time, it's like if somebody has been nurtured in that way to like saying, okay, like good, like you worked hard, you earned something, like good job on that.
Right.
If you hadn't got enough of something, you maybe go like over the top, and you're always going to be like, look, did I do a good job? Hey, look, do I get a treat? Do I get this? And it's like we'll affirm you, say like, good job, you made it here, like you're on your way. But like you said, there's that gap of maybe people say 400 years of slavery, or just like there's this huge disparity where you have certain communities that are just, they're just in bad shape, and like just giving you like a good speech isn't going to necessarily help you, but having people understand that like, hey, everybody's got to get up in the morning and go to work. Like, you don't have to necessarily go work a quote unquote job that you don't like, but if that's a starting point, you go from not having a job to having a job. And then if you save up or invest your money properly, then you can say, okay, I got this money and I learned, tell it to make more money for me. And for some people, it's like you grow up and you just do what you see because you don't know any better. But like as things grow, you have hip hop culture that grows on the negative end, but there's also the positive side of it. And I'm focusing less on telling people, oh, like this is so bad. Like what's bad? I turn it off. I don't listen to the radio because I know all throughout middle school, high school, college, they would play the same songs and I just get tired of it. But you have streaming services now, you've got YouTube, you've got, hey, I mean, for as long as I can remember that you've had CDs, you could always make your mixtape. You had people rip music illegally, but now you can do it legally to where you go like Spotify or something, you make your playlist, you decide what you want to listen to. And even if you don't know what you want to listen to, there are people here and there where like you see people that kind of walk a certain way or act a certain way. And if they're the right people, they usually kind of like welcome you, but you gotta, I don't know, like that whole transition going from one thing to the other. I think that's where you look to somebody like an ET or somebody that's in their leadership position that's done it, and they can kind of walk you step by step. And I'm not there yet, but I'd say at least getting out of the I think you and I both talked about it, getting out of and overcoming depression, in the sense of like you've had a situation or something weigh so heavily on you to where like you just think, oh man, like I'm not worth it. I'm not doing this right. I'm not doing that right. And like you put all your hope into something and it doesn't work out. But having people in your ear in the right way, not necessarily in your environment, but being in the communities that you've already invested in, and you say, okay, like this is something that's going to build me up, so let me spend more time there. And even if somebody's telling you something you don't want to hear necessarily, like if it just keeps coming back over and over and the person keeps like reaching out to like give you a hand, it's like, oh, okay, like I need to stop beating myself up for a minute. I was mad, I was sad, I was unhappy, and that's okay. Like everything isn't rosy all the time, but it's like for what you can control, like control it. And then we move forward, we take care of today, we take care of the rest of this year, but this will probably play sometime in July of next year. But I mean, the same thing still applies. You take care of today, you take care of like the here and now, and then everything else will kind of fall into line. Like, yes, you make plans for this, you make plans for that, but like when everything's just going mad crazy and you're like, oh, the world's on fire, this is it's like, okay, let's slow it down. What really matters? Okay,
Right.
let's start. But that's my long rant.
Nah, you hitting some good stuff there. I feel why would you get marriage advice from somebody who's never married, you know?
Yeah.
Why would you take car advice from somebody who rides the bus? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm realizing it's just a process. Like, it's a process. This whole entire journey is all a process, and I think sometimes you could get in that comparison bubble where you start to look at somebody else, how they doing it,
Right.
not seeing the hard work, the tears, the sleepless nights, which is what you may be going through in that moment in your particular season. But
right.
You see the glory, the good, the shiny stuff, and start to kind of ask yourself what's wrong with me. But
right.
I like you onto it, definitely.
And what's crazy about it, or what's beautiful about it, like you mentioned, you get so caught up on seeing what somebody else has got or what they're going through that, at least for myself, I kind of forgot the things that I'd already been through. And I just thinking through high school, through middle school, through like just the struggle. And it's like, I guess a lot of times you in such a support role all the time, you try not to focus on yourself, but sometimes you do need to like look and be like, okay, like I have done some things. Like you're so worried about, like I was so worried about taking care of people, and
Or worried
that
about
like
what you didn't do when you
right, you worried
did
about
it.
what you
Yeah.
didn't do, all the while somebody that's taking from you could care less. It's like, oh, like you're giving out free food? Oh, sure, I'll take 5 plates, 20 plates, whatever. And they just keep showing up, keep taking. And you're sitting here feeling bad about, oh man, like I didn't do this, I didn't do that. It's like, this is completely off topic, but I mean, it's relatable. If you've ever seen Schindler's List, it's a movie about the Holocaust. And I think Schindler is a guy in it that goes from, I don't know if he goes from like persecuting Jewish people to like wanting to save them, or maybe I may be getting two characters mixed up. But I know that at the end of it, spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it, but at the end of it, he has this part where they say he saved maybe 1,000 or so, but he feels bad just because he sees like how many other people died that he wasn't able to save. And it's like, sometimes that pain can be a good thing because that can be what keeps you going. But when that pain turns into like all you focus on and it starts to derail your entire life, that's when it's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotta find that. Gotta keep that balance going, man.
Yeah.
That balance. Yeah. Word up.
Yeah. So is there anything you wanted to talk about at the moment, or anything you want people to look out for in 2020? I see you've been keeping busy, keeping quiet on your end.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll just say, you learn by doing. So RonnieJax.com, check it out.
Okay.
And all the info is there. Yeah, all the info is there. That's it.
Cool.
Yeah, 2020. I plan.
Well, I mean, give people a taste, like what.
Oh, what they
should they
expect?
expect when yeah. Where are they
Go
going to
to
go find?
RonnieJax.com and check it out. It's all
Ah,
there. It's all there.
gotcha.
Everything
Okay.
is there. That's
Okay.
it. That's it. You know, and I also want
That's
to say
what's up.
thanks for you know, having me here, allowing me
No
to
doubt, man.
talk. I'm not much of a talker. I don't really like to talk. Don't even really like the camera. I prefer to be low key. Like I heard somebody say it once. If I could just do my thing in the corner, nobody sees it. I'm good with that, and
Hmm.
I'm one of those people. But I
Yeah.
also read in the devotional, it was talking about scripture how like some people, I guess God for whatever reason, he don't want you to be quiet. Like if you quiet, you're doing a disservice. You're not
Hmm.
doing God's work. And he'll
Right.
take the same message and take it to somebody else.
Hmm.
So you know, I don't want to be that person that God looks over. You know what I mean? Because I'm
Yeah.
stuck in my head of my own trials and tribulations, thinking I'm not good enough. And I encourage anybody else, you know, who may see this. A lot of the times I realize you may get stuck in your head thinking I'm not good enough. It's too late. It's like just that self-doubt, you know, I'm
Right.
coming to terms with that you're really doing a disservice. So even if you walk your journey, and if you can change one life, then you know I believe God will be pleased with that. Like you change, because that one life you change can be the life that change millions. Not even trying to like get on the millions tip, because I think each one teach one
Right.
is kind
Right.
of um you know, like we could tend to get too greedy and be like, nah, I want the whole. Not saying that there's nothing wrong with that. Not saying that there's nothing wrong with wanting the
Right.
whole bang, but you gotta conquer step one before you conquer step two. Before you
Right.
conquer step 10, you gotta just go step one.
Mhm.
And if step one is a next door neighbor, then you know you need to help them out. So yeah, everything that's coming up is on RonnieJax.com.
Yeah.
It's new. Been out for maybe about a month now. So
Mhm.
I don't know when you're gonna release this, but you know, I just hope y'all check it out and 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 is affected in a good way, some way, shape,
Right.
form. You know, that's it. That's all
Gotcha.
I that's all I
That's
got.
what's up, Ronnie. You
Hmm.
keep that up. Can you still hear me? Oh, I think you muted yourself.
Yeah, I can hear you. I just muted myself.
Gotcha. Well, I guess we can go ahead and wrap it up if you want, and then we'll wrap later.
Got it. No doubt. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll send you these files here in a bit once I get settled.
All right. Do your thing.
All right.
All right. Later.
Peace.